Force is with me. I am one with the Force. What's up, guys? Thanks for being with me again today for a breakdown of The Mandalorian Chapter 2, titled The Child. As you guys know, this first minute will be spoiler-free. I'll put this out on my Instagram account, and right after that minute, we'll get into the spoilers. Before we get going, though, make sure you guys like this video for me. There's a lot of Mandalorian reviews out there, so if you're one of the people that watches each one of my videos, please like this. Share it out. Subscribe if you're new. I really appreciate that. And now let's talk about this episode, non-spoilers first. So episode 2, titled The Child. And I know I'm not going to be spoiling it now, but I am going to expect that you saw the first episode at least, so I can talk about the child. Because that's what this episode really was about, was developing our two characters, and I want to say main characters at this point, and where they may be going and kind of where they're at. There's a lot of things that are established with our character and the child in this episode. It's going to move along throughout the series, and whatever twists and turns this goes, I think some of the things we saw in this episode are going to be very important for what we see. Overall, I guess it was another great episode. It really has a New Hope kind of feel to it. I think you guys are going to enjoy it, so definitely check it out. And now let's kind of get into the spoilers. Alright guys, so this was another great episode, and I think towards the end of this we'll get into a little speculation, and I'm not one that really breaks down the episode chunk by chunk. When you guys watch my reviews on anything, I'm coming in with the expectation that you've seen the episode and you're kind of just wanting to hear me talk about it, and we can kind of talk about it together in the comments and just putting some things out there. Now for the Mandalorian himself, I think these episodes have done a good job of really showing us that he can be knocked down. He's had to be saved a few times in both these episodes. But honestly, to me, that's just Star Wars. Again, I'm gonna bring up Jedi Fallen Order again. I've been dying so many times, but you see just throughout, there's no invincible character. I mean, they can all be had. All the Star Wars characters have been humbled if you really think about it. So it's just further reinforcing that with him. He's not special. He's a great warrior, but that Rhino would have taken him out. He had to be saved by Yoda there, and I thought that was a great moment. And I really love how Star Wars, recently in The Last Jedi with Luke and Leia, and here with Yoda, they established when someone pulls off these miraculous feats with the Force, it takes it out of them. They're done. Not done, but they're out cold. Like Yoda here, he's out that whole time when they're rebuilding the Mandalorian ship. That's probably, I had to take at least a few days there. And Yoda was out the whole time. Leia was out for a while when she saved herself. Luke obviously, that was his last go. He took everything he had. And so now I kind of want to just talk about some questions, and starting with the Mandalorian. I hate to look at some of the shots we've already been given, but we see that later on in this, this is just in trailer, so I'm not spoiling anything. But later on in this series, he's gonna have his armor, like his solid armor. His Beskarian steel, I think is what they call it. And how is he going to get that without turning in the baby Yoda? So I'm curious about that, because that's clearly what he wants. He wants to get that for his people, for himself. He wants his armor. That's his main motivation, is getting that. So is he going to end up turning Yoda in to get his steel? Because now the baby has saved him. He's seen that this child is something special. He has now seen why there's been a bounty for this kid, so maybe, who knows how he's going to react to all this. This seems to be like his first real encounter with the Force in such a way that, that changed. And we've seen that change a lot of people throughout Star Wars, their first interaction with the Force. So I'll be interested to see how that goes. But then for the baby Yoda himself, come on now, y'all. There is another from Yoda. Just the time period, 50 years. I haven't done the math, but just roughly, guys, this is like Clone Wars. Order 66 was about 50 years ago, give or take. But again, as I mentioned, this episode with Baby Yoda really established where he was at. I was really curious about so many things. The pod that he's floating in, how conscious is he, how smart is he already? And something that really hit me, I was under the impression that since he's so small, that he was, you can have the impression that he's just like an infant, he can't talk, walk, anything. But remember, Yoda's species, not only do they age differently, but they are tiny. So Yoda's only about this big. So if the baby's this big, he can, for a human, he could be I don't know, 5 years old. I don't know really, but I'm saying he's probably more of a toddler than an infant. So it was good to see him up and walking, being able to recognize the Mandalorian was in trouble in 2 different, and this is all stuff, as I was saying earlier, that I think we're going to see carry, into the future. I think we're going to watch this little Yoda character develop. We saw him eat the frog. I wouldn't be surprised if in future episodes they even take this even further, what he's able to do and just how competent he is right now. Not necessarily with just the Force, but just, in being a creature, walking around. I don't know when he's going to start talking, but we'll see when all that stuff's coming. But after this episode, I feel much stronger about the Baby Yoda being an established character. I mentioned in my last review that we don't know if he's just going to be self-contained or if he's just going to be given off to a bounty and it's just going to be like a character moment for our character. Like, is he going to turn him in or not? It could have just been that. But the way they're kind of setting him up, I think that there's going to be something bigger. All right, now let's go over some questions about this little guy. A lot of things we were able to figure out. He's not floating that little crib there. There's actually something the Mandalorian is controlling. I was confused by that, but he's able to walk. He's obviously used the Force before. Again, he's a lot more competent than I was thinking after the first episode, which I like. I think they're really going to continue to grow him as this thing is going. And, I wouldn't be surprised if he starts talking here soon. Again, like, he looks like a little infant, but he's more of a toddler. Someone, like a child. He's a child. So I'm excited to see where they go, and I really hope that this is like the second main character of this series. I would like to see him develop and become his own character, eventually get his own name and, make a name for himself in his own lane. And yeah, he looks just like Yoda, but maybe as he grows, there'll be something about him that you can distinguish the difference. I mean, all it might take is just a different robe or something they have on, just a different color, and you might be able to distinguish between the two. Because right now I'm really loving the character. I think they have a great dynamic between him and the Mandalorian they can play with moving forward. Again, as I mentioned, the Mandalorian having to give him up for a bounty. Is he going to do that? How's their bond going to develop? He's now been saved by the Force. How's this going to change our character of the Mandalorian? And where does this powerful Force user fit in the galaxy right now? This is a time where Snoke is out there. The First Order is coming together somewhere in the Outer Rim. So we'll have to find out where all that, all that's going to take us. Because there's clearly 2 different bounties being, requested. People want him dead, and some want him in alive. The scientist wants him in alive. But why does he want him in alive? Why do the others want him dead? If Palpatine or if Snoke is up to this, you would think that they'd want to use the child for themselves. I mean, he's a child. He can be, turned either way. He doesn't have a master. It's not like he's set in his ways or been trained or anything like that. But also, again, it has been 50 years. Like, what has this child been doing? I have no idea. Where has he been? Why has he been this thing? Who was protecting him? Those people that were protecting him. Like, who were those people protecting him in that building? Like, what is going on here? These are all questions that we need to know. Right now, I want to think that Yoda is behind this in some kind of way. That's what I want to think. Like, I just want to think that for whatever reason. I don't think this is just a random Yoda species. We don't know much about their species, but we do know that they're all very powerful with the Force. And just the time period here, and it just makes sense for Yoda to be involved in this somehow. When you think about how the Clone Wars is ending, Yoda was figuring out all these mysteries with the Force and going through his own struggles, and he was working some things out. I'm not saying that this is like him or anything, but like maybe this is something that he had up his sleeve. I mean, if Palpatine can do all this stuff, why can't Yoda have figured something like this out? I'm throwing things out there. This is the part of the video, guys, where I'm really just going to be thinking with you guys. Please let me know in the comments what you guys think, because we're all going to have a different way of looking at this right now. But for myself, I really just want the best for this character, because I think there's a lot they can do with him, and there's a lot of potential for him. We just knew old Yoda. Let's see, a younger Yoda just coming up, and how powerful is he? Like, just how, he's a fun character. Yoda's fun. So I would like to see this character develop alongside the Mandalorian, even if it's just for this series. That'd be something I'd like to see. Another thing is just the way this show has gone so far is I'm not sure like who and what we're gonna end up seeing so far. I brought up some characters we might end up seeing in this show. And I think these first 2 episodes really just wanted to get some things established. I really do think that's what these 2 episodes were for, because there's a lot of different characters we've seen in the trailers that haven't even come up yet. I think they wanted us to know the character of the Mandalorian a lot better, where he's at now, what he's thinking, his motivations, and to set some kind of groundwork for who this Baby Yoda is, because no one even knew about this character coming into the show, so maybe that's why they showed us what they did. They didn't want to show Baby Yoda too much. That's a huge spoiler. Maybe this is like right there with the Mandalorian, like the second main character of this entire series, and we just didn't even know that he was in existence. So our whole entire thought process of what this show might be has to be different. If this is a powerful Force user, that's gonna draw a lot of different attention, a lot of different type of people. What about like Luke is still out there? People being confused about the time period maybe a bit. Like Luke is out there, he's looking for secrets of the Jedi and the Force. Like he's out there hunting. Like he is a very powerful person right now. I don't know where he is, but he's out there, and I wouldn't be surprised if he found out or knew something about Yoda, or just maybe just some other Force users out there. Again, you guys got to get that Jedi Fallen Order game. And again, I haven't finished it. They're talking about things that make me think that maybe there is something, the Jedi are trying to get something going, when things were hitting the fan in Order 66. But again, let me know what you guys think about all this. I'm just throwing different things off the wall. I kind of went everywhere with this video. Didn't really talk too much about the episode. I know you guys probably want to talk about the Jawas. That was a cute little scene there where I thought they were gonna like try to hatch the egg and train it. I thought they wanted to tame the beast. Like if we could just get one of these eggs, maybe we could tame it. I thought that was gonna be their objective there, but they just ate it. I mean, that must have been some good shit right there, man. Like they wanted that. They were willing to trade in all those parts they got from the Mandalorian ship for some dessert. I mean, that's pretty funny. But it was good to see them though. I'm used to seeing them on Tatooine. I guess this planet is not Tatooine for whatever reason. And I guess I understand if they don't want things to just be too convenient. Everybody can't be on Tatooine, but I mean, shit, if you got all these desert planets, and you might as well. I mean, I don't know. I mean, at least could have been Jakku or Tatooine. I mean, something. But all right, guys, that's it for me. I'm gonna try to get a video out this week, just over the Mandalorian, not necessarily a view of the episode, but just some topic, kind of like what I did at the end here, just kind of talking about things, and just for a longer period of time. But let me know what you guys thought about the episode. Please comment on these videos, these reviews, especially a show like this. And we've never had anything like this, guys, like weekly Star Wars. So comment, let me know your theories. I know I've got a group of guys, we're talking about things. Bring that energy over here in my comment section so we can talk some Star Wars and try to figure out, what's going on. So, all right, you guys.